Well, good morning and welcome to sunny Indianapolis. Well, it was sunny and now it's not, so I look even crazier than normal with my sunny fisherman's hat. But this is a really beautiful city so far. We're walking along the canal and we're gonna head to, I think, the White River. We actually ran into, I guess, a local guy named
Sorry.
No problem. All right, take two. As soon as I started recording talking about how there was nobody in the city, a bunch of bikers came out of nowhere and we're like, sorry for ruining your take, but no worries. Yeah, it's a really quiet city. There's otherwise than when I'm trying to record, there's nobody about really, except for this one guy. Shout out to Jeff from Indy, who was nice enough to give us a recommendation because we are on the White River, I believe, and we were gonna walk along down the I think east side of the river because we can see trash down there, but it's not very accessible. There's a lot of concrete steps, so we're gonna cross over, and he said that there's a lot of trash if you cross over and walk on down. So yeah, typically the city itself is really clean. I mean, I'm from New York, so any city is cleaner than New York, unfortunately, but the city in general, people are cleaning up. But yeah, let's cross the river and see what we can find. Welcome to Indy. Good old taste of New York. All right, well, we made it down to the river. I have no idea if we're allowed to be down here, but I saw somebody, I think, fishing. And even if we just stay here at the spot that we were able to scuttle down, there is a ton of trash. So yeah, we'll start filling up on the beautiful Indianapolis White River. So I'm not quite sure where the White River actually leads to, but a lot of times people, when they see my videos, they ask, how does some of this stuff end up in the ocean that we find at the beach? And it does start often on rivers, and as you can see, there's stuff just floating in here, which again might be people leaving it behind or just street side runoff. But even things like little 6-hour energy drinks, some people do leave them at the beach, but they come from much farther too, so snag them if you find them. All right, well, Jeff was 100% right. This area along the river is pretty trashed, as you just saw. And I'm actually, I mean, I'm never surprised by trash, right? You know that if you've seen my other videos, but this city, I tried to get some pictures as well. Maybe I'll include videos of the city itself. Is, as far as clean cities, one of the cleanest I've ever seen. There's barely even cigarette butts around in town. And I don't know if that's other people cleaning up or people just being cleaner in general. But yeah, you wouldn't also think that I'm in the middle of Indianapolis, right? Just by the background that you see here, maybe, unless you're from the city, of course. But yeah, this is obviously one of the less frequented areas, and that's what Jeff, who we met, told us. He said if you go down a little bit past the zoo and down to this part of the river where it's a little more, I don't know, rural or wild, there is a ton of trash. And again, he was absolutely right. I mean, we filled up a full bag of this, regular bag like this, garbage bag, and another smaller bag. So no shortage of trash. And all types of trash too. So I just wanted to show a few of these because I think it's interesting how some of this compares to stuff I find at the beach, and others obviously a little bit more unique because we are almost, I think, 1,000 miles from where I normally clean. And that is interesting that some of these are in fact quite common items that I find, and maybe others not so much. Like I was surprised to find bursted carton of eggs. And again, this is the type of thing that you don't expect to find at a beach, but it's a little more common someplace like a river. I've done a couple river cleanups, and you find this type of stuff that, again, could have been dumped by somebody, but probably is likely tipped over garbage can, ran off into the river with like a flash flood or something like that. River carries it to the ocean, so a lot of this plastic or styrofoam stuff, as I always say, it's in no hurry to degrade. So even if it takes years to move from someplace far inland down to the ocean, I don't know where the White River connects to, but I know plenty of other rivers that I've cleaned at that do go directly to the ocean eventually. It can end up there and obviously degrade over time. And a lot of this is just smaller microplastics that already have broken down, like these little styrofoam pieces. So it's everywhere countrywide. This is the farthest I've cleaned from where I normally clean so far, but sadly I'm not surprised by any of this. And again, some of it was really interesting, like this netting, which seems like a plasticky type of netting. But I find netting all the time, obviously, in the ocean from fishing nets. But this type of netting, I don't know what it is, but can wind up in the ocean as well. And it's probably not good for any marine life that lives around here too. Again, these styrofoam pieces that are really just composites of even smaller bits break up over time and end up polluting, right? And a lot of common stuff that, you know, is weird. Stuff like chapstick, where when I find it at the beach, it's presumable that somebody might have just left it there, but also you might wonder, you know, who's leaving all this chapstick at the beach? And sometimes there's people leaving it there. Other times, yeah, it's traveling downstream from other sources into the ocean and it washes up. Found some hobo cans, some metal cans, which are good to recycle too, because it's less new materials that are needed. And corn on the cob. No river beach clean is riverside clean is complete without a corn on the cob. I think this is a corn on the cob remnant. And it's not surprising because driving in to Indianapolis, it was basically corn, and then the city. Beautiful, but a lot of corn. At least I think it was corn. And this is exhibit corn right here. So it's ending up in the river, no surprise. I don't know if that's from, you know, someplace else or the city itself, but people often ask me, they're like, should I clean up fruits and vegetables that I find? And I mean, those probably aren't the worst things in the world, but I do know from talking to others, especially in parks and stuff, national parks and state parks, that they often say you do want to pick up, especially foreign fruits, so fruits that aren't native to certain habitats, because those have chemicals that are toxic sometimes to animals and to plants in the area. So like oranges in, say, New York, well, oranges aren't typical to New York, so those can actually be, like the peels and stuff can be toxic to different creatures and biologies there. So it's actually good to pick up that stuff. Corn here probably isn't a big deal, but I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting point. And then, yeah, stuff that I find everywhere. Straws, obviously, no shortages of these. And K-cups. Again, how do K-cups end up on the beach? People say, how is this stuff getting here? Well, it might start from a tipped over garbage can into a river. This could take decades, if not 100 years to degrade or more. Plenty of time, like I keep saying, for it to get down to the ocean, right, and end up at our beach. And yeah, stuff you find everywhere. Capri Suns. And yeah, that's pretty much everything in terms of, you know, particular items. Cigarettes, obviously cigarette butts are plastic, so there's a lot of that stuff. The one most unique piece I found was this beautiful spring, which sometimes I can repurpose a lot of this stuff because it's useful, like sunglasses I found. And what did I find? I found something last week that I was using. I forget. But this is a pretty good spring. I don't know what I can use it for, but you never know what you're going to find. So if anybody needs a spring, they're down here on the river. But anyways, I want to wrap up because I hear thunder, and we had maybe a 2-hour cleaning window because it thunderstormed this morning and it's supposed to thunderstorm this afternoon. And I just heard it rumble, and the fisher person from earlier has fled. So I think that's my cue to get out of here before the lightning comes in as well. because what could possibly go wrong with metal trash pickers, metal cans, and a metal selfie stick recording a trash video on a river? I don't want to find out that answer. So this was great. I mean, absolutely beautiful city, really interesting, really unique, not my normal environment. So very glad and very lucky that Jeff was nice enough to stop us. He saw our pickers when we were walking, and, you know, was impressed by what we were up to. And I was like, yeah, you know, this is what it's about, trying to share adventures. So thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Indianapolis. It's a beautiful city. It's been really fun so far. And so we're going to continue our road trip. I don't know where the next clean spot will be. I imagine somewhere in Denver, maybe, because we are headed to the West Coast and we are on a bit of a schedule. But we'll clean where we find trash. I was starting on that side of the river, got a lead for this side of the river, and it turned out good. So yeah, if you know of any other places, we're going to the West Coast. So Denver, the Pacific Northwest, pretty much everywhere. You know, comment below, because we're always looking for new trash spots to clean and compare what we find and talk about what we find and what we observe and learn. So thanks so much for joining us in a beautiful, hopefully sunny Indy later. And we'll see you next time in another place, another adventure. So subscribe, like, there's a button somewhere below if you like these adventures. There's more to come. So until next time, stay safe out there, be well. Run from the thunder and lightning like I'm about to, and hope to see you on a beach or river or lake or wherever we end up sometime soon.